Hi everyone, and welcome to the final installment of In Conversation with myself, Magid Magid. And in this series of conversations, I talk with European-based guests who are involved in the arts, human rights, activism, and politics, where we explore the current challenges facing Europe. Just to explain to those who don't know much about the festival, Journeys Festival International is an annual arts festival produced by Artreach that takes place in Leicester, Manchester, and Portsmouth. The festival curates, presents, commissions a varied program of work created by artists that explore the refugee experience and global culture through artistic and creative encounters. In this conversation, we're going to be discussing all things hope and celebration. And today's guest is somebody who I've been really looking forward to speaking to. His name is Mo Omar. He's a Somali-born, Cardiff-raised and London-based talent. He's a fast-rising talent with a unique perspective. Mo was selected to perform at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and was a finalist of the BBC Introducing Radio 4 Comedy Award. He also made his first TV debut on Harry Hill's Club Night on Channel 4. Previously, he was the winner of the Leicester Square New Comedian of the Year 2017 competition and semi-finalist in the So You Think You're Funny and Amuse Moves 2017 competitions. He created short-form videos for the new BBC Wales platform, BBC Sesh, and also starred in an episode of Joy of Missing Out on Channel 4. Welcome, Mohammed. It's a real pleasure and honor to kind of speak to you. I've been really looking forward to speaking to you for some time now. So just first of all, how are you doing? Like, how have you been coping with everything, with the world being turned upside down? And yeah, just in general, how have you been?
I mean, just like how the phone call started, just for the audience to know, I turned up late because I was off haggling in a market somewhere for a cable, and it's just been like that. It's been what's the word? It's not zany. It's been a quirky time. So the biggest change since everything that has happened is that I had a very Spartan lifestyle because most of my life was like being away from the house as much as possible, gigging, like trying to like travel or anything. So or working, like all these different things, but never in the house. So I never set up a life inside my own home. So it's like I had no hobbies. I had barely any furniture. And then when the lockdown happened, I realized I'd been living like an itinerant worker for the past few years. Like do you know like the book Of Mice and Men?
Yeah,
that had been my life, but I hadn't noticed. And I think it happened to loads of people. I think most of the shock for most people was, wow, my life is depressing when you take away the outside. Like inside is really bad. I thought the outside was bad, but the demons are inside. But yeah, that's how it's been. Sorry, that was a bit deep, wasn't it? How are you?
No, I'm good, bro. I've just basically been trying to adjust with a lot of things, to be honest. And yeah, like life in Sheffield. I don't know if you've been to Sheffield at all, but it's quite calm. We've got the Peak District. So I've basically been trying to reconnect with nature as much, which I've not done before as much. So honestly, I've been good and been trying to pick up some new hobbies here and there. Have you picked up any new hobbies at all during lockdown? Have you learned anything new?
So basically when all the live stuff went, all the live gigs left, there's this thing happened where everyone moved online. So everyone started making stuff online. And I thought because of my youth and my ease with technology, as we have demonstrated today, I would be, quick as a flash on it. Like I'd be off doing the dances on TikTok and just getting famous on TikTok straight away. What instead happened is I tried to make one video, lost heart, and then took another 5 months before I picked up that skill. It was the most fantastic thing. It was so there's this podcast called the Comedian Podcast run by Stuart Goldsmith, and he describes it as the great pivot when loads of comics moved online. But what happened to me was I moved more offline somehow. Like I left what I usually had, and then I just became more of a Luddite. But I started playing the guitar again. So that was a skill I had when I started doing comedy.
Cool.
And then that just like fell away because, no one likes the guy who plays the guitar at a party. And once you figure that out,
no. That's understandable. So Mo, you were born in Somalia, you were raised in Cardiff, and you're also living in London now. And I know identity can be a complex thing, but how would you describe your identity?
So I would say I describe myself as do you know, like a Coke bottle with a Mentos inside it? It's just overflowing. No, it's basically like, for example, I'm from different places, but I'm also like I have a Muslim background. My family are all like normal Muslims. I myself have struggled with faith, but I wouldn't call myself an atheist, for example, because I think atheists are arrogant. I think it's an arrogant position to think you know the answer. Like I have faith, but I don't have I don't follow. Like I don't follow the rules very well. So, but at the same time, I've never gotten along with atheists because the kind of atheists I've met, the guys, you know, their names are Richard, and they say stuff like, "I think you'll find," and actually, you know those people, you know those guys. It's like I must correct you. You know those people. It's the level. Yeah. So, in regards to identity, it's like a mosaic. It just like I pick and choose. When I'm in an Uber, I'm Muhammad. Okay. And when I'm in any other situation, when I code switch very quickly. You know the word code switching, don't you?
Yeah.
I do not have I'm like if someone put a tablet to my face and you can just swipe on the face you want. I'm joking. Obviously, I'm kidding. It's not that complicated. I am who I am in the moment. It's a very simple answer. But I thought it'd be more colorful to say the Mentos joke. But yeah, that's who I am. What about you? What do you define?
Just speaking of Uber, I'm curious to know what your Uber rating is.
My Uber's 5, mate.
You got 5 stars?
Mate, I'm a traveler. I need to travel, so I'm the best Uber customer ever. I will ask them to let me off early, and I'll walk the rest. I'll be like, take us home, brother.
What's your tips? Because I'm on like 4.7, and I'm always trying to better it. I'm like, what have I done to actually drop points? I'm polite. I put my seatbelt on. I try to gauge in conversation if they look like they want conversation. But clearly, we can't all be as great travelers as you are, but we can aspire to be you.
I would say, first of all, the fact that you're asking me already, I'm sensing needy vibes from you. So if I was an Uber driver, I'd be like, this guy is extra. All right, already 0.1 point already. Okay, I do not acknowledge my driver unless he acknowledges me, and then I always say brother a lot, and I roll the R. You gotta roll the hard R.
Okay, brother.
Yeah, you gotta say brother, and then you do this every time. Thank you, brother. And then you just put the pious act on, okay, and then most of the time you probably don't believe it because of where they've picked you up. It's like in the middle of they picked you up in the middle of Tottenham Court Road, and you've got a swinging ball. You're like they probably know what you're up to, but they appreciate the act and they appreciate. And then when they let me off early, I'll go, "Thank you very much, brother. 5 stars, yes, for you. 5 stars, brother. I don't mind."
Okay.
See,
that's really, really good to know. I'll take those tips on board. Basically,
no, my pleasure.
But Mo, so I guess. Like, I'm just curious to know in terms of like growing up in Cardiff and whatnot. Like, did you always aspire to be a comedian? I guess like in a world where you could potentially be anything that you wanted to be, or kind of follow a certain career path, like you've kind of gone down a route basically being a comedian. I'm also interested to know in terms of what the reaction and support has been, or maybe no support in terms of your family and your friends and what that transition has been like. But fundamentally, why go down a path of basically going to being a comedian?
First of all, I don't want to be a comedian when I was young. I wanted to be a barrister. That was my dream in year 7, 8, and 9. That was my dream, and I'm not sure it was fully my dream. I think it was my mum who had tricked me into that dream, because in my house there was a barrister magazine I found, and I used to read that all the time, and I got it into my head that it was a cool thing to do, and it was, and I remember it was somehow the only thing my mother's only ever encouraged. So it must have been her planning. And then about year 9, I tried to I wanted to join the army, because like any child, I just wanted the uniform. Just like with barristers, I wanted the cloak. And then with the army, I wanted the camouflage. If you had gotten me at year 10, I could have worn a camouflage outfit and in a cloak, I would have lived the best life. It would have been so happy, mate. You wouldn't be able to see me, but you know it's coming. You know, it would have been great. But no, I wanted to do comedy around, like, I grew up watching all the panel shows, and like, you know, the old ones with like, I mean, not the old ones, the first few seasons with like Frankie Boyle, Russell Howard, who you met. I've actually like I've seen you on that. That's like when I remember when I saw him, I was like, wait a minute, because I'd seen you a few years before that in a newspaper on the way to school, and I knew when I got home, my mom had already had a picture of you, and she said to me, "Why don't you do this?" And I said, "But Mom, you would never even let me wear a hat." And she said, "If you become mayor, you can wear a hat." And no, so yeah, so I basically I just wanted to do comedy when I first moved to university the third time, because I dropped out of uni 4 times. I just failed a lot, man. And this is the one job where failure is in itself an extra skill. Like all of my stories are about me failing to perform an action that a normal human being would otherwise just wouldn't notice they're doing. But for me, it becomes a day. Like so I thought that basically it was a choice between going back and trying to do university for a 5th time, which I could do.
What courses were you studying? Like, what courses were they? Was it the same course all the times, or did you kept like trying different courses out?
Yeah. So I did. So first course I did was law. That was the one where I was fully under. I lived at home. You could tell because I picked law. So I picked a smart, sensible decision. The second one was philosophy. Now I'm starting to lose. My mother's starting to lose faith. She's like, okay, he's still going to university. I don't know what he's doing, but he's in the same building as the law kids. Maybe he'll change his mind. The third one was a foundation in fine art. Wow. Now I've disappointed her, but she still loves me. I'm her son. Okay. The 4th one was business management. Now she's just like, well, he exists, and no one can say I didn't do it. You know. Now I'm just like, to her, I was a grade D. It was a pass, but you know, it happened. And then after that, I was like, after I did that 4 times, I was just like, I can't do that. I can't spend another year working for another course. That after, because the reason why I kept redoing it is because I was never in there long enough for even my grant money to come through. So I'm in no debt. Like, I've been to uni so many times, I'm in no debt because I've never. It's just like I do like 1 week or 2 weeks, and because I'm such a flake, it's worked in my favor. I'm not one of those people who stick stuff out. So
if you make decisions very quickly, you're like, no, not me. Next. So
almost irresponsibly quick. So way too quick. But yeah, so then I was working in Bristol, which was where I was supposed to start comedy. I didn't do that because I was basically, long story short, I lived in a student house. I dropped out, but I still had to pay council tax on the 4-bedroom student house on my own because the rest of the house was students. So I was working at a Holiday Inn, and I was working like 50 hours a week, but I was being emergency taxed, and I didn't know what that was. So I was working stupid hours, getting taxed a lot, and not basically making no money until the end of the year where I got a rebate. And that was like, I got like $4,000. And I was like, oh shit, I can do, like, because before it was like I was living paycheck to paycheck. And so I was like, every decision I made had to be like, if I wanted to start a skill, I wouldn't have the time to marinate. Do you know what I mean? And it's the idea of like people think that to do something like comedy, all you need is confidence, or all you need is like luck. No, it's literally access. It's literally like someone giving you the breathing room to be able to take the risk, and then once you do it, and if you like it, and there's no pressure on you, because like I was the one paying for it. So I had $4,000. I moved to London, and I was like, as long as I can keep this money going, I'm basically a full-time comic in my own head. So I would walk where I could. I would like try and like catch the bus. So I'd sometimes would catch a bus all the way from East London to West London to reach an open mic, just so I could spend that £1.50 instead of that £3. and like just keep recouping the money. Eventually, you have to get a job. But by then, I had a solid, like when I started gigging, I gigged every night for a good year at least, because I just developed the habit in the first few months. So even when I was working temp jobs, I didn't consider a day was finished until I went to a gig and performed. So, and I did every kind of gig, music, poetry, anything. Anyone where they'd let me near the mic, I would just do it. And this sounds like I'm going like, and then I made it. No, I didn't make it. And then 3 more years passed. This isn't Pursuit of Happiness. Nothing happened. The year ended, and I just carried on. But then, once you have the habit, you just, and that's what I always struggled with university. It was that it was something that was being told to you. Oh, this will. Sorry, one moment. Sorry. Yeah, that's better. Is that clearer? That's
great. Yeah.
Sorry, I knew I was supposed to turn the fan off, but I didn't because it's hot.
Mohammed, I guess, how much does your Somali background and your kind of personal history influence your art form? Like in terms of like your kind of like the stories you tell when you're doing your stand-up comedy, but like I'm just curious to know how much your Somali background and how much it really influenced your art form.
Well, first, like I just wanted to be funny, and so no one like. I tried to do when I first started writing. I tried to do the clever stuff, like Stuart Lee with his like. I try and be like, I would make up these bullshit, long, winding stories that I couldn't remember. So I would write the full story. I try and remember. I get to the gig, and then I wouldn't know what I'd be halfway through the story. I'd be like, this was so intricate, I can't follow my own story. So I was like, I had to root it in something I could remember, because like over 5 minutes I could remember loads of one-liners, but over 20 minutes there had to be, you have to just remember the essence of what you're trying to say. And the closest, because of situation, I don't know, it's called like situational, I don't know what it's called. I remember shit that happened to me because I'm a narcissist, and that's the only thing I've noticed around me. It's like if it's affected me. So I would tell stories, and it would be like when I would like, what was it? For example, I would just be telling a friend a story, and it was supposed to be me recounting something seriously, and he'd go, "That's ridiculous," and I'd go, "I know, right? That person acted ridiculously," and they would know. Your complete lack of self-awareness in telling that story is the thing that I'm laughing at, not what you think is being funny. So it was like being an idiot wasn't a choice. Like there's some people who can be funny and be the smart one. People who say, and then I told him, and I don't have that luck. My luck is like I say, and then I said, and then the audience go, you can we swear? You gosh darn idiot. And yeah, because I perform in Victorian houses only. But yeah.
Yeah. No. That's fascinating. Do you get many Somali people turning up to your gigs and stuff?
Yeah. I mean, there are a few, and it's like, it's like I thought when I first started doing it that I was scared to perform to Somali people, because of like. First of all, because you're not good enough. Like I did the first year. I did a gig at a Somali restaurant. Okay, and the person who booked me was supposed to be doing 45 minutes, but instead he said to me, and I knew he didn't want to do it now. Like when I experienced it, I knew he didn't want to do it. But he tricked me. He was like, "You take 4 other comics with you. You MC it. You each get £20 each." And because it would have been his payments split up between 5 people, and he said you split it between you, and because you're Somali, they love you, and therefore they love the other comics. And I was like, boom, okay, easy money. So I go all the way to South London. I take with me 4 other comics, all white people, okay, just to make myself look better. Okay, I took 4 just like out of comparison. I'd be like, guys, yo, boys back, because I'm emceeing, because I was like, they'd be like booing and jeering them, and I'd come back on, I'd calm them down, like the sweeper in the Harlem. So I thought I came in with that sort of energy, and instead, what happened is they hated me. They hated everything I said. They hated me so much that DJ would interrupt me. So our mic cable was stuck into the DJ's thing, and anytime a joke of mine would fall flat, he would go, "Oh man," this would be like really sympathetic. He'd be like, "Oh man, I'm really sorry. That sucks, man." And then I'd be like, "Anyway, your next act," and then I'd introduce my friends on, and my friends would destroy. Like they were talking about stuff that I'd purposefully edited myself. Like I was doing stuff like, "You guys know when your Hoya says this?" Like I was doing like PK, but for Somalis, okay? And they were not having it. They must have just smelt the lack of sincerity. And instead, with my friends who were like, my friends would come on and they talk about like, there's this girl, she was like talking about like her love life, to put it mildly, but very graphically.
Wow.
And they're just all giggling and laughing. Like there's women in like headscarf, everyone's just laughing. And then my friend came on, and he'd come into the restaurant with me, and they were playing dice. You know when they like playing dice, and he was just like, "You guys are so weird, man. You guys have phones. Why are you playing dice?" And then he started imitating them. He's like, "Bakla, bakla, bakla," just doing their voices, and they're just laughing. They're loving it. And every time I come on, they just go back to stony face, just waiting for me to leave. And I couldn't crack. Even up to this day, it feels like an ex-girlfriend, because it feels like I was like, "What did I do to you guys? What could I have done?" But no, it was a fun experience. And now, since then, I've done the Somali International Festival, which is in Bethnal, and that was nice. That was like that time I'd learned my lesson, so I went on and just did my material. And I only got one girl who came up to me, and she very politely went, "I don't think what you were saying was correct," but then just kind of like walked away. I was expecting like like those old 70s comics when they're smoking on stage, they're like talking through the hour. But some people don't let you have that. Like they don't let you have that cool factor. They'll take that away by just like looking at you and looking through you.
Yeah.
And so I just did my material. It went well. They were nice about it.
No, definitely. Exactly. So, Mohammed, I guess in a world where migrants and refugees are constantly being vilified and dehumanized, whether that be from the media, politicians, or other people, what role do you think comedy has in teaching people empathy?
So the interesting thing about that question is it's very serious for a comic. It's a very serious question, and it's one I'm constantly asked. Like I was doing one of those online sketches things for a online, like one of those online platforms, and they were doing like, do you know those videos when they do like, which one do you prefer, chips with gravy or chips with curry? And they were like, "Do you want to do one?" And I went, "Yeah, of course." And they went, "Okay, we would like you to talk about being a refugee." And I went, "That doesn't feel like the same thing as that guy who's just eating chips. Like I want to try different types of chips. I don't want to." And I was like, "Do you want me to make jokes about refugees?" Because I don't feel like." They were like, "No. We want a serious 5-minute PSA." And I went, "Nah, that's not possible, mate. You've misunderstood my job description." But essentially, what I would say is it just humanizes people. Like I did a gig for this basically this group who train up. I can't remember their name. Give me one moment. I can find their name. Counterpoint Arts, which are basically they teach refugees to do stand-up, and it basically means that they can tell their stories. And I consider myself as close to what is second generation as possible, because I came here really young in comparison to these people who came as adults.
How old were you when you came over?
I was 8.
Okay.
So I would consider like I was as close to being like my little brother who came here as a baby. Even he has like his own memories. But in comparison to an adult who'd gone through all of it, like just hearing these people's stories, and just like it was honestly, it was. I don't want to say it was upsetting, but it was very visceral, and it just humanizes them. And I wish sometimes that like when I go to do these gigs in the middle of like these like middle towns where they wouldn't have met anyone from my background, and then I go up on stage, because essentially the reason why when I start talking about being Somali, and then I would honestly start talking about when I started drinking or when I would when I committed my own mistakes. The reason I was doing that was because I wanted them to know that you're not a two-dimensional picture or statistic, that you yourself have your own experience, and sometimes they do connect, like as much as they parallel, and sometimes like like they wipe, I wash, there's differences. Every human has differences, but like those sorts of similarities, and also it's just giving a different, like a in an X, Y, a Z vector to the whole thing, and it gives people an appreciation, and they don't need, like, people. You're not going to change anyone's mind at that moment. Like, no one who came in with hate in their heart is going to walk away because I told a joke about a goat. Like, it's not changing any hearts or minds. But what it hopefully does instead is that it just puts a question mark on their experience, and then hopefully, like, regular, because I don't think comedy can change minds, but I think it can make people question what they were thinking. It can play with assumptions, and that's all you can hope for. Like, otherwise you have a messiah complex. If I thought dick jokes were going to take me to becoming, they're going to build a statue of me. That's like, I would have become a barrister if I wanted that. Those guys have cloaks already. They have superhero status.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's, I feel like, the clearest answer I can give, without betraying my age, which is I'm too young to have any solid ideas, and it would be arrogant of me to do so.
Well, following on from that question, if Mo Omar, say if you were prime minister for a day, you could make any executive orders and decisions, what would you do?
Okay, I'm glad you received the email asking you to ask me that question, because I'm going to use this for my campaign later on when I run for mayor of Sheffield as well. I feel like if they can do it once, they can do it twice.
Exactly.
Hey, man, once you go black, right? But basically, the first thing I would do, and I'll give you a serious answer and a joke answer. A serious answer would be like have a universal basic income, because I feel like who's the first Asian American candidate in America who's tried it out?
Yang.
Yeah, Andrew Yang. He tried it out, and it seems to have worked. Like, it made people's lives better. And it's just like when I got that rebate through, when you have a cushion, when you give people a chance to breathe, all this hatred, all this like have you heard the old analogy of the rich man has 95% and then warns the poor man that the refugee is going to take a bit of his 5%. And it's like, so it's distracting you. I don't know if that's the right analogy, but you understand what I mean. Like, it's distracting you from. It's like all the wealth is concentrated at one point, but we're made to fight over scraps. So I feel like it would work. The redistribution a bit would work. But what do I know? I dropped out of uni 4 times. I'll give you my joke answer, and then you can edit around it and be like, "Ah, he's funny."
It's an important point you make with the universal basic income, because ordinary people like myself, like you, we all are investing in this country. Everyone is. To kind of just be able to get universal basic income, like a flat rate of however much that you say, if it was enough to kind of pay for your basic food and your living costs, it'll give everyone time to work on their arts and work on whatever there is that they want to kind of work on, to be honest. It's an idea that people have been discussing, and even in the UK, to be honest. But as you can imagine, certain political parties aren't just fully behind it yet, to be honest. But it would be a revolutionary thing if we did live in a society where everyone had enough money to kind of live on. So not only just to also give them the kind of space and the resources to then actually thrive and not be anyway. So I'm completely on board with you on the universal basic. You're going to tell me something else.
No, the other suggestion I had. No, but 100% I agree with you. But I agree with you because you agreed with me, and that's how this works. It's a circle jerk.
Exactly.
But so the second one would be what was it? I noted this down because I thought, don't forget this, and I didn't write it down. That's great. I'm glad I thought of it and then I didn't write it down. So what would I do if this is me going off the dome? What would I do if I was prime minister for how long was it again? A day?
1 day, yeah, exactly. 24 hours. You can push
1 day. Okay. I would give myself I would cut all the train prices. I would take back all the trains, and I wouldn't even do it in a nice way. So do you know how the serious answer was universal basic income?
Yeah.
My thing would be I would storm the offices of Southwestern Rail, Southeastern Rail, Arriva, just for no reason. Have a very aggressive, hostile takeover, where it would be like a military junta taking over, and then having all the CEOs lined up, and then give them a nice shake of the hand, and then lock them up forever. But I want them to be scared that something worse was going to happen, because it's ridiculous what the prices of our trains are. Like, as someone who constantly travels on trains, I'm not going that far. Like in my friend in New York, she went from she went upstate. I don't know what that means. She went somewhere, and it took her. She was still in New York, and she was 8 hours. It took her. I don't know. It might be because New York is at the moment on fire, but also it's like the country is not big enough for the prices we pay. Like it's almost beguiling how much these, and they keep telling us it's to improve the service. And you know what? Just give Jeremy Corbyn a seat, okay? He should have a permanent seat on every single train. Just the JC, an embossed seat. I miss that guy, man. I miss that guy. I miss his youthful energy. For an old man, he stokes up the youth. Unlike the pound shop Margaret Thatcher we have now. What a cold human being. Have you ever seen someone? Do you know how embarrassing it is for someone? When she mentioned the immigrant background, as someone who had family from an immigrant background, my heart sank. I was like, why couldn't you at least be their reason? Why are you our reason? Like, what happened to you? Who bullied you so much? And I can think back to my own childhood. There have been moments where I've been bullied by people of my own background, and I just had a moment when I'm like, I'm gonna destroy you, and then you get over it because you're not a child anymore, and you understand that the world is complicated and people have different lives. I wouldn't give her that. I would line her up with the training executives, okay, and then I would jail her as well. She's a terrible person. I feel like allegedly she's a terrible person. I don't know if there's a legal team.
No, you're right. Compassion, and I think it really, really shows. And I completely understand where you're coming from.
But I've met people like her, people of our backgrounds.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I guess, as you already know, I guess there's a lot of things. A lot of people are depressed about the moment, not just UK, but all across the world, with social, economic, climate injustices happening everywhere. And I guess hope is one of the kind of main kind of overarching themes of the festival, but also this kind of conversation. So I just wanted to know what hope is to you, and how important is it? Or do you think hope is overrated, or do you think it's something important for us to kind of really cling on to?
Okay. Well, first of all, when I read that question, I thought, did someone break up with Magid recently? Because it's like, is there any hope at all? At all? I'm done. I'll finish the letter tomorrow. And then he just kind of collapsed next to the laptop. So I feel like saying there's no hope at all is first of all, I'd like, okay, this is another thing to tack on. Okay, if I was prime minister for a day, the train thing, another thing I would do is I would stop people always mentioning the fact that Twitter isn't real activism, because it's at least something. you know what I mean? Like it's better than what was before, which is nothing. There was nothing before. And I hate all these when you hear old people go, all you guys do is just tap. All you do is tap, 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 tap. And then you want to answer saying, well, if you guys had it, like you guys had it much better than us, and you guys said you protested, but obviously you didn't protest well enough because we're now dealing with your issues. And we've dealt with 2 recessions. There's a pandemic on, like the Black Lives Matter, the LGBTQ issues, the police brutality, the incarceration of like Black youth on a disproportionate level, the powers of police getting way overextended, like the refugee crisis, global warming. And then they're telling us, you know what you guys need to do? You need to stop being such snowflakes. And it's like, no, we're not snowflakes. We're just overwhelmed. Like, our retinas are burning from the amount of, like, we've got screen burn from the amount of, like, just like news coming at us, telling us, when they ask us, why don't you have a pension? I was like, I don't think I'll make it. You know what? Why would I make a reservation for a restaurant I don't think I'll make it to? Like, I recently was doing my taxes and I saw the pension button and I clicked it and it was woeful. Okay. Did I have one moment that I think I should save something? No, because I don't think it'll come about. I would ask for my pension to be given to me now. And then I was like, I'll work it off if we survive. If global warming gets reversed, I'll eat my hat and I'll carry on working. But we should be a certain age where underneath you should be allowed to have your pension early. Like, oh, you have 5 years of your pension, and then go back to work and work until you drop. I think there's always hope, man. I think if there wasn't like this pandemic, it took me 5 months to realize that that like all hope was on us. He'd spoken to me literally a month ago, and I was just watching episodes of Futurama on repeat, and but that 5 months now means that over those 5 months, the amount of data I've just been working constantly now, and I think eventually the slump has to go, like case like it'll just have to recover. Like things can't get bad forever, can they? I don't know. Maybe I'll.
Well, we don't know, but we just gotta hold on to something. I guess what is the alternative of hope, kind of thing. And I think the thing is it's like, and it's not that naive kind of hope where it'll be like, oh, things will kind of, it'll be all right. Things will kind of work out. Mm-hmm. If you, I guess it's important to have hope, but if there's not any actions to follow, I guess it's just a wish at the end of the day. So
yes, yeah.
It's really important for us to kind of have some actions to kind of follow up on that. But no, I really take your points on board. And my final question for you, Mohammed, is Mo. I guess what does the future hold or look like for Mo? Like, are you working on anything interesting, or say what is the future looking like? Hopefully, a long and beautiful future where you'll go past the age of pension, that you live a long, fruitful life. Like in the near future, what does the future look like for Mo?
So when I get to my pension age and I'm making £140 a week, which I look forward to. Oh, that's beautiful, beautiful money. So basically, the biggest thing that I learned from the last 5 months, the reason why I was so slumped, that slump hit me so hard, was because I had so much expectation. Like, I think a lot of people had big expectation. It's like just by the repetition of 2020, just like everyone everyone had plans, everyone had these big plans, and no one survived. No plan remained unscathed. So I think from the future, I would hope to be more flexible and actually be able to roll with the changes, rather than just constantly be like something. I mean, it was a global pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just about to say it can't happen twice in my lifetime, but then I remembered I've been part of another recession, and this is the second one so I was like, yeah, I want to keep another hat. I want to have one hat that I don't have to eat. But I basically, this next year I'm hoping to go to the Fringe. So in the short term, I'm doing a Fringe. I'm writing a show about becoming Welsh for the Radio Wales, which is just like, no, not in Welsh. It would be for Radio Wales. be in English. Come on, guys. Come on. This one. I know this one. Come on, guys.
I've got first cousins that live in Newport, and I spent,
Really?
yeah, I think 2 summers going to Newport, and that's where I learned how to ride a bike. But I remember I was 8 years old going to Newport, and even though we didn't catch a flight to get to Wales, we just drove there, right?
Yeah.
But then I turned on the TV and seen a kids program all in a completely different language, and I was like, have we left the country or something? Like, what on earth is this kind of thing? But then I learned that you guys have got your own language in Wales, which is Welsh, which sounds like English whatsoever. But,
no, well, it's a Celtic tongue, and it's beautiful. Like Welsh is like a very poetic language. Like the whenever English people talk about it, they always talk about it like. But they said the same thing about Africa. What we've learned is the common thread are English people are dickheads. You know what? That's the big thing. But no, but basically I've got that coming along. But in the future, I just want to keep on like making stuff. Like before, I was just going to live performances. I was just performing live, and my whole day was centered around the gig. So I was living for that gig, and it was my only sense of achievement was that thing. So in future, like with all the like I've learned to edit now, I've got myself all this equipment that I spent the last of my money on investing in like having something at home which I can achieve from per cut. So that's the future. I don't know. I'm like again. I'll say I'm not really young, but I'm too young to think I know more than I can pretend to you that I know. I can tell you what my dreams are. But if you had told me like 5 years ago that I'm doing what I'm doing right now, like I wouldn't. Like I've been to Somalia with the military. Like I couldn't have planned that. Like there wasn't.
Actually,
I performed for the soldiers in Mogadishu.
Oh wow!
Walking around the base, and they kept looking at me, and my face was posted up all the place, and they just kept. I could just see the soldiers would be looking at my poster, going, "He's from here, isn't he?" And then my opening joke was, "Guys, I don't know what you guys are doing here. We're all back there. We're all in your houses." And so like I've been to Romania, I've been to Bahrain, like just I can't plan my like, dude, you can't talk like you've done insane stuff that you can't have like planned. Of
course, yeah.
So it's about keeping faith that in the end, like it's like you said, it's not naive hope. I keep working, and none of the stuff that would have happened if I hadn't put myself in a situation for the opportunity to occur. But to try and it would be like trying to control the wind. Like it's just not possible. Hence the analogy. But yeah, that's I don't want to say I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and then I'll see you in a spa one day when I'm just like working. I'm like, oh, what's up, bro? And you're like, yo, what happened to you, bro? Ah, bro, you know, life could have been a contender. But yeah, man, can I ask you something?
Yeah, shoot.
Because I've just been like talking at you. But I wanted to ask you. So you did this. You did the mayor thing. Let's just call it that. You did the mayor thing. Okay, and then afterwards, you started doing like you started popping up in odd places. Like you did that. I read about your. I couldn't find the episode anywhere, but you did the military thing where where you like SAS. Is that? What's the story with this?
I was like, what military thing did I do? You're on about some sort of hunted thing, like.
Yes. Yeah. I want to know this because apparently you were taunting the people chasing you by leaving them. Yeah, you were leaving them notes, and then they couldn't even translate the notes properly, which is hilarious. It's great TV. That's great TV. But like, how did you like end up choosing like? Because I feel like you just do stuff as they come to you, correct?
Do you know what? Yeah. Do you know what it is, bro? I guess for me, is as long as I'm learning new things, taking myself out of my comfort zone. But I don't know. I just put myself out there. But fundamentally, like take hunted out for a second. As long as I'm having a positive contribution in some capacity to those around me, I'll kind of be quite happy. So after the media thing, I kind of Okay, I was working. I got elected as an MEP representing.
Yes, yeah.
In Brussels for a bit, and then Brexit happened, and like
job
I studied aquatic zoology at university. So trying to tell my mum I was going to study about fish, she just didn't really. And so I guess I really have never had much of a plan for anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
For me, I'll just like of course, there's certain things I'm working on at the moment, stuff like what happens in the future. But I'm just excited. Like I'm grateful every single day, and I'm pushing, I suppose.
100%. I think that's it. Like because you did the aquatic zoology, and you didn't do it because of an end goal. So you did it because of a passion. I feel like as long as you're doing that, as long as your gut knows something. Like my mom didn't know when I wanted to be a lawyer, she didn't understand what being a barrister was. She was like, no, be a lawyer. I said, no, barrister, mom. She was like, no. And then when I wanted to do philosophy, she was like, I don't know why you're doing that. And then when I wanted to do all this stuff, I kept poor woman. I kept throwing stuff at her that she was unfamiliar with.
Yeah, she probably said when you said philosophy, she goes, the only philosophy is the Quran.
Yes, yeah. Philosophy. What do you mean philosophy? No, she was actually really supportive of philosophy. She has a very she understands that the Quran isn't just, she doesn't just read it. She understands there's talking, there's discussions having over it. I'm very lucky in that fact that she isn't very. And I mean, and a lot of other people would say that it meant that I strayed a lot more, but I only ever strayed intellectually because I never used to leave the house until I was around 20. I used to stay home and just read. And any adventures I had were always organized fun. So it would be like I'd go to military cadets, or I'd go to military prep college, or I'd join a library club. So I was only allowed out for organized events. It was only when I was like on my own, like any adult, I just started experimenting in the world. But it also meant that I always knew, in my head, I know what's right and wrong. Like I don't need an external force to tell me, like, oh, what you're doing is right, what you're doing is like, and I feel like that instilled in me more faith than if I had just been told to learn something by rote. Like obviously I did all this stuff. I used to go to mosque 5 times a week. Like it wasn't. Yeah, that's why. It was also I was like tired by the time I got old enough. I was like 5 days a week you're in a mosque. So I'd go to school and then I'd come home and go to a mosque. But yeah, I feel like if you have faith, things will just occur, man. And in regards to like everything that's going on right now, I have to believe that once the lockdown finishes, that Sky News will stop being the Tory storm chasers that they've become. Like that Lawrence Dower will stop existing. That comics will stop. What's it called? Comics will stop flirting with the far right just to gain some edge, and that they want the like some sort of morality. Like it's not always about being, what's the word? They're always talking about being balanced, and balance seems to favor the other side. It never it always seems to be that someone with the same hue as you is always being judged.
On that note, it's been a real pleasure. It's been a really insightful conversation. Of course, we all wish you nothing but the best, and we'll support you from the outside. So thanks for joining me today in this conversation.
Thank you very much, man. My pleasure. It was an honor, man. Thank you.
Thank you.